It's green for go. They're racing.
He says go.
He says ta-da.
And Tiger Tara roars away from them on the home turn.
Here comes another big boil over.
Equine athleticism at its best. The king is in the castle once more.
This is in one race. The rest are almost in another postcode.
She is a star with a capital S.
It's going to be a triple treat, a miracle three-peat. Ladies and gentlemen, you have witnessed history here at Menangle. What about that?
It's getting right up on the sprint lane and it's going to bolt in.
Hello and welcome to the Sunday session. On this Sunday, it is the 23rd of February 2025. My name is Greg Hayes. Great to have your company again this week. This podcast is a part of the Sprint Lane podcast series for Harness Racing New South Wales. Of course, you get the Menangle Angle with Jess Watkins and David Wanson previewing the Menangle meeting. Some big name guests on that show during the carnival, and plenty of people are tuning in to listen as well. So make sure, if you haven't, have a listen, download it to Jess and Dave on the Menangle Angle. I say it each and every week, but there is so much happening in the sport of harness racing. And when you're in the middle of the carnival, I guess that's what's expected. First things first, we've got the first horse through to the Miracle Mile with Leap to Fame booking his spot with an arrogant display of speed and brutality at Newcastle on Friday night in the Group 2 Newcastle Mile. I keep saying it on this podcast, we need more drone footage in these big races of the starts. Firefox got rough at the start of the Newcastle Mile, and that forced Grant Dixon to shift sideways, and he did a great job to miss Firefox and stay out of trouble. Because we only saw the lateral view at the start, it's hard to tell just how close Firefox got to Leap to Fame. And then when Grant Dixon was forced to take measures to miss, how much room Grant had between him and the horse that was to his outside. But anyway, it didn't matter in the long run because he worked forward, he powered to the lead, and then ran the hands off the clock in the process, becoming the first horse to break the 150 for the mile at Newcastle, stopping the clock at 1:49 flat. I'm going to sound really old here, but it is amazing just how far times have come down, and the generation before me would be even more amazed at what horses can run now. When I first got into horse ownership in the late 1990s, if you had a horse get down around 2:1, 2:2 mile rate, that was pretty good. The first time I owned a horse that broke 2 minutes for the mile was at Newcastle, and it was back on the 28th of October 2000, so 25 years ago. Horse called Najiko ran 158.6 for the mile, and I'll never forget that night. I thought I owned a jet. It was a C3, $1,890 to the winner, but the evolution of the horse in the last 25 years is simply mind-blowing. Sure, the equipment's improved. I know that. The sulkies are faster. And look, there has been some improvement to the track surface at Newcastle in that time. There's been no changes to the track itself. By and large, it's basically the same. The move to Menangle has definitely changed the local racing style and improved times. No longer do we see drivers looking to sit up for as long as they can and then sprinting up the straight. But I can't think of another sport where there has been such a massive improvement that can be measured like there has been in harness racing since 2000 here in Australia. Look, cricket to some extent, where you've gone 2020 cricket, where they now just go from the start. You know, there was obviously that change in one-day cricket where they started to go from ball one and they'd go attacking cricket during the power play when fielders were inside the circle. But the times have just got so much better in harness racing, and you haven't seen that change in gallops or greyhound racing. It's just quite phenomenal. Look, back to Leap to Fame. I caught up with his trainer, driver, Grant Dixon, on the way home to Queensland on Saturday morning. Unfortunately, the service for his mobile wasn't great. Phone dropped out. It cut the interview short before I got the chance to talk to Grant about a few things. But I'll play the interview a little bit later on in the podcast. So I will play that for you soon. Chariots of Firefield, it's been finalised for 2025 after the running of the Paleface Adios last night at Menangle. If you missed it, in alphabetical order, Bay of Biscay, Battle Knuckle Up, Charge Ahead, Major Hot, Mickey to Success, Al Luciano, Some American, Storm Rider, Wardan Buddy, We Walk by Faith, The Emergencies of the Janitor, and Kingman. Emma Stewart, Clayton Tonkin, they have 5 in the race. They've also got the second emergency. Big effort from the one stable. James Rattray continued his great start to 2025 when Al Luciano won the Paleface Adios. James settled the horse in the running line in the second half of the field, and when the leader started to stop, he led the charge in a blanket finish to score. I think it's one of the most open chariots I've seen. I think the Derbies last year showed that there wasn't really a standout 3-year-old, and all the big Derbies were shared. Monday's barrier draw is going to go a long way to decide next Saturday's winner, I think. Obviously, you would think that Bay of Biscay is going to be the favourite, and if he comes up with a good draw, he's going to be hard to beat. But if he draws 10, look out. There's going to be a few horses that are winning hopes. Congratulations must go to Luke McCarthy. Picked up his 3,000th Australian driving winner when Don Hugo scored on Saturday night at Menangle. And good call, Fred Hastings. In the call, I think it was raised his bat. Congratulations, Luke. Raise your bat or something like that. Fred always comes up with the right line at the right time. Obviously, Luke has driven over 3,000 when you take into consideration he spent time overseas in places like the US and New Zealand. But a remarkable feat in Australia nonetheless. He always pops up with a good horse when the big races are just around the corner. And I'm sure Luke will be very busy over the next couple of weeks during the Carnival of Miracles, not only with his own stable, but also with pickup drives as well. So congratulations to Luke McCarthy with his 3,000th Australian driving winner. What about the Ultimate Driver Championship at Albion Park that was run over Friday and Saturday night? I loved it. The coverage on all the different media platforms, outstanding. I've seen a few negative comments on social media from the rusted-on harness types, but in an industry that is shrinking, administrators should be applauded for trying something out of the box. Think outside the square. When I went through my sports administration degree at university, I don't know how many times my course convener would drum that into us as students. It was up to the administrators to think outside the square for sporting bodies to remain viable. Come up with something different. You're not always going to succeed, but if you come up with something good, then look out. And when you get drivers like Dexter Dunn, Yannick Gingras, Bjorn Goop coming in to compete, it makes the series a winner straight away. Now, ideally, you'd like to see Todd McCarthy. You'd like to see Cam Hart. Maybe Luke McCarthy. But hey, the people who bought the slots were the ones that put the money up for the prize money, so they were the ones that got the chance to choose who they wanted to represent them. Congratulations to young Angus Garrard, who won the series. He's been on the podcast previously. He went into the series as the kid and used his local knowledge to perfection. The evergreen Gary Hall Jr. was second. Peter McMullen, another local, third. With the first of the internationals, Dexter Dunn, finishing fourth. One thing I know about Queensland and the administrators up there, they will take a lot of ideas out of the first running, and it will be back bigger and better next time. But it gets a huge tick from me, and I wouldn't be surprised to see other states try and copy that format moving forward. My spidey senses tell me that a couple of the Eureka slot holders are close to announcing runners. I wouldn't be surprised to hear one or two runners lock in after the Chariots. They might just want to let a little bit of Miracle Mile news die down before they announce, but something tells me you would think that a few of the Eureka slot holders would be getting itchy fingers waiting to launch. I said it last week, it's going to be extremely tough to grab a spot in the Miracle Mile qualifiers this year. A number of horses are aiming up at them. And the mail that Gareth Hall passed on to me as he left the Albury stables about Swayze going to the Miracle Mile spot on, would be surprised if Swayze could win a Miracle Mile, and he'd need a good barrier draw because we've seen great stayers draw wide and be out the back. But with a good draw, he could make sure they'd run time, or they ran time, that's for sure. The record would be under threat, especially if he drew well. If he drew 7 or 8, I remember Lazarus drawing poorly in a Miracle Mile and he was never a factor. But you put Swayze in 2, there'd be no loafing, that's for sure. Who's on the podcast today? Well, as I mentioned, I caught up with Grant Dixon on the way home on Saturday, and it's only a brief little catch-up. Goes for a couple of minutes. I find out about Leap to Fame, what he thought of the run and how he's pulled up. I said on the podcast last week I wanted to speak with Amanda Turnbull. Well, the good news is I'm going to catch up with her. It might have been good to wait that week because I was looking through the fields at Bathurst on Wednesday, and she's down to drive one of her own. So she's well and truly back after that nasty track work fall back in November last year. I'll find out about her recovery and how she's feeling about that comeback on Wednesday night. Young Chris Judd has had a great start to 2025. Picked up another winner last night at Menangle with Montalbano. a horse that he got off Ricky Alchin. Thought it might be a good chance to get Chris on the podcast to have a chat to him. He's another of those young blokes that have come out of the Riverina and is now kicking goals in the city. Hard-working farrier that shoes some of the big-name horses competing in the sport and goes all right at the training caper himself. So Chris Judd is going to join me today as well. Before we get into today's podcast, I want to let you know there will not be a podcast next Sunday. I know that sounds very strange because it is the day after the Miracle Mile qualifiers and the chariots. There will be plenty to talk about from the Miracle Mile barrier draw as well. Well, unfortunately, I won't be in Australia. Most would know that I'm a tragic Raiders supporter, and last year Fred Hastings and I sat and watched the Roosters play on TV in Vegas after the Miracle Mile barrier draw. We sat, Freddie's a mad Rooster supporter, and we watched the Roosters on the telly, and we were sitting at the Menangle Country Club, and I said to myself, if the Raiders ever go there, I want to go over and watch them play. So as luck would have it, the Raiders are playing, so Karen and I, we're going to head over there, and that means no podcast next week. However, I will be back for the Miracle Mile the following week, and there will be a podcast with a full wrap-up of the big night. So I do apologise for that, but let's get into today's show. First up, I'm going to speak with Amanda Turnbull. I said last week on the podcast I might see if we could track down Amanda Turnbull and have a chat with her because she must be close to making a comeback. And then I was having a look through the Bathurst fields for Wednesday, and I noticed that Amanda Turnbull not only has one down to race, but she's also back down as a driver. So great news for the fans of Amanda Turnbull. She is back as a driver this week, and she's joining me to have a chat. G'day, Amanda. How are you?
Hey, yeah, good, thanks.
Really good news for you that we're going to see you back at the races, not just not there as a spectator. You're going to be back involved as a driver.
Yeah, that's it. Exciting times. So got a clearance last week. Just thought I'd wait a week and have a couple of trial drives on Monday and, get into it on Wednesday.
Well, November last year must seem like a long, long time ago because you've been through a lot since then.
Yeah, that's it, yeah. The first start of it sort of didn't know where I was, but now I've been a bit more anxious and really wanting to get back there.
So what were the injuries you actually sustained?
My worst one was my hand. It had to have a skin graft on it and broken. It had 2 broken bones in it and my wrist. And then I had 3 broken ribs and 6 cracks in my back. So.
Wow. So the worst of it was the skin graft, or was it the back?
My hand, yeah, skin graft was the worst. It was really big open gash on the top of my hand, and it's one I had to have 3 surgeries and just mainly cleaning out and then just fixing the bones. It's got screws in it and the plate and all that. And then they just had to make sure the skin graft would go over the top of those sort of things too. So yeah, it's a bit scary there for a while, but had awesome surgeons and they got it all done.
So where'd they take the skin from?
The top of my leg, just my thigh, yeah.
Okay. And how long was the time between the 3 surgeries? Like, has it been a long process, or was it like all done in the space of a week? Like, how's it all happened?
It was all done in the space of about 10 days, I think. When I was there, I was just at Gold Coast Hospital the whole time.
Yep.
The first one was to fix the wrist, and that was straight away, like the next day after I hurt myself, and to clean it out, the cut, see what they could do with it. The next one was pretty much 2 days after that, and it was mainly just to clean out and get ready for the big main surgery with all the skin graft and that, and had to wait a week, and then they done the whole show. Yeah, after that.
I spoke with Nathan a couple of times while you've been out, and he said you're pretty tough. But how was it like in terms of pain threshold? Has it been pretty tough for you?
It wasn't too bad, especially like I was surprised with the back. It didn't hurt hardly at all. The broken ribs probably were the worst, but I have had them before, so I knew that they'd be painful, but they're just a bit of a strain. But the hand probably, it was just probably more scary, just not knowing what it would do. And the pain was never really unbearable. So yeah, it was just pretty much hoping that it was going to work again. But I was pretty lucky that no nerves or anything like that. So I always just had feeling, which was a good thing. And yeah, the pain wasn't probably as bad as it reads.
So looking forward to putting it all behind you now and getting back on Wednesday?
Like, so been doing a bit of track work and yeah, just slowly getting into it, driving the quiet ones. And yeah, I'll for a while I'll pick and choose what I want to drive and stuff like that. So I think Dad's got a couple of quiet ones in earlier through the meeting, so I might drive them. And yeah, the 2-year-old I got the last, he's been pretty good manners-wise, so I'll drive him and yeah, just slowly work into it, hopefully.
As a driver, does having, a track working incident, does it play on your mind, or is it just something that it's part of the job you just live with and you just basically, you just got to put it out of your mind and get on with the job? Yeah,
just get it out of your mind. I think sort of early on, I was just more frustrated that it happened. It was just a freak accident and it's been too casual, I think. Probably wasn't in a race or anything like that. It was just a freak accident at home.
Yep.
So, I haven't got that figure yet.
Yeah. And while you've been out, has it been the family and Isabel sort of doing all the work, making sure that everything's getting done for the team, or have you basically put all your horses out? What's been happening?
No, it's been full time. Isabel's been unreal. She's had to do a lot of the babies. The team was mainly had babies, so we didn't have many racehorses, so it's been a lot of work at home. And then Mitch come home from Queensland and helped out early days, and he's been unreal. And then, yeah, just family, like Dad and his staff always just pitch in and help as well. So it's it's pretty unreal, this place, that everyone gets in the ditches and helps out.
That's really good. And do you have any problems at all now with it at all? Is there with the skin graft or anything? Is it all you're back to A1, 100%, no dramas?
Yeah, pretty much. It's still it's got to stretch the skin out a little bit. Like, it still looks a bit rough, but yeah, everything works fine and yeah, it seems good.
So you won't be a hand model anymore?
No, definitely not. No.
So in terms of, were you active at the sales last weekend?
Yeah, Mum and I went down and had a good weekend, and we got 2 colts, so yeah, that was good. Younger stock.
So you obviously, it hasn't stopped your interest, your activity in the sport. It's basically business as usual for Amanda Turnbull now that you're back.
Yeah, that's it. Keener.
No, that's good. All right, well, great to see you back. Good luck on Wednesday. Obviously, you're going to have more than just the one drive, which is great news as well. We did an interview with you at Parks about the fact that you'd hit a record, and then all of a sudden we didn't see you for quite some time. So hopefully back driving winners really soon. Thanks for joining me today, and all the best of luck on the comeback.
Thank you. Thanks.
Leap to Fame's going to have to be brave. He still leads the way 3 metres. Kanina Prov Lima on the outside. Max Delight launching his assault. Sure Thing Captain stays to the inside with Arden's Ace and Mickey Pence. The leader with 1:25 to go is Leap to Fame, and now he goes into overdrive. There was no chance of him being beaten. The defence is on again. Leap to Fame, a crowd favourite, absolutely destroys them in the Newcastle Mile. Second spot close, either Max Delight or Sure Thing Captain.
Well, he's booked himself a spot in another Miracle Mile. He defended his Newcastle Mile title. Can Leap to Fame defend his Miracle Mile title? We'll find out in a couple of weeks' time. Grant Dixon, his trainer driver, is joining me. Congratulations, Grant.
Thanks, Greg.
Massive performance, obliterated the track record. How did he feel in the run?
Oh, he felt really good, really sharp. Sort of never got off the bit, and he went through the line really nice, and he was strong to pull him up after the race. So really pleased.
The time, did that amaze you when you came back and saw that he'd gone that 1:49?
Oh, look, it felt fast on the track. It felt like he did go fast. I didn't know about the track record speed or anything, but it did feel like we were going fast, and we never really slowed at any stage too much.
He's obviously known for his staying ability. He's now a 6-year-old. Has he just now become the all-round package where you can do anything you want with him? You know, you can go forward at the start. He's now a great stayer, but he's got that speed in his legs as well.
Yeah, I think he's just a great racehorse. He really adapts to what distance he's got to run over, and I don't know, for some reason he really does know if he's going a mile or a 2600. He really adapts. It's a really smart horse, I think. Now,
the plan, I'm assuming it was rinse and repeat from last year. You wanted to get to Newcastle so you could give him that fortnight between Newcastle and the Miracle Mile.
Yeah, we thought it seemed to work reasonably well last year. We thought, well, it worked, and just to give him the best opportunity, we wanted to try and get there, give him the fortnight, and get him back home and keep him at home as long as we can, and then head back down again. And Tristan and I sort of sat down and sort of nutted it out, and we thought, hoping that we could do the same.
Were you obviously raced well at Cranbourne. After that run at Melton in the Hunter Cup, were you worried that could have taken a bit out of him?
Look, Tristan and I were fairly confident we, had a good base fitness under him, going into Melbourne. And as a rule, usually if he has a good hit out, it normally brings him along a bit. And I was pretty happy at Cranbourne that I didn't really have to open him up and just and in the run he's really relaxed at Cranbourne, and then when I give him a little tap up the straight he got going. So I was pleased that that race didn't worry him out too much. Yeah.
So now you get the chance to sit back and watch watch all the other contenders go head and knock one another over and see who all your other competitors are now, I guess.
Yeah, I think they're going to get another great Miracle Mile away horses are coming along, and hopefully they'll get another great race.
That third quarter was 27-8. It leads from Little Louis under pressure. Montalbano, Joe Nean and Pitch Perfect about to try and come on with their runs as they straighten. Speculating lead. Montalbano goes back to the inside to give chase. Pitch Perfect and Major's running on resolutely as well. But up on the inside, Montalbano might have struck the front here. Montalbano out wide. Major, Pitch Perfect, but it's Montalbano in front. Major's going to have one last dive. Oh, gee, it's close. Not much in this. Montalbano had the race in its keeping about a stride before the line, but Major's dived.
One name that keeps popping up with winners in 2025 is Chris Judd. He's doing a good job. He's got a small team in Sydney and has already got the 5 winners for the year, and another one at headquarters last night with Montalbano winning. A new addition or recent addition to the stable, and Chris is joining me to have a chat. Congratulations, Chris. Well done.
Thanks, Greg.
Mate, really good start to the year for you, and Montalbano's doing a very good job.
Yeah, he's come into the stable lately, and he's took off pretty well. He's had a couple of checks and picked up a win last night, so it was good.
When you get a horse that's been at another stable, does it take you a little bit of time to work him out?
Yes and no. I was quite fortunate that I've sort of been around the horse, showing him at Ricky Alchin's stables for pretty well from day dot, so I sort of knew a bit about the horse without obviously having too much to do with him, so that definitely helped. But yeah, it usually does take a little bit to I suppose get him used to the way you train him and whatnot.
And then I think that was his fourth start for you. He'd run one placing. He ran a fourth last time out last week, and then were you confident that he was getting closer to a win?
Yes and no. I thought the 2300 doesn't really suit him quite as well as the mile probably, but he's got really good gate speed, so he always puts himself up on the speed, and so I thought eventually he'd be able to pick one up. But yeah, it surprised me a little bit that it was last night over the longer trip.
So when you saw him up for sale, when Ricky and the connections put him up for sale, were you pretty keen to get your hands on him?
Yeah, I had a little bit of chat about it before they'd actually advertised him, and had been thinking about it for a bit, and just decided to go for it, I suppose, in the end. And yeah, it was quite a large amount of money compared to what I usually pay for horses. But it's so far it's paid off pretty well.
So does that put a little bit more pressure on you? The fact that you've spent a little bit more money than you normally would.
I suppose it does, Greg. I mean, probably only for myself. I'm usually probably pretty hard on myself and put a bit of pressure on myself. But it's just, I suppose you just got to try and do what you normally do and just train them like you would normally and hope the results come.
So you'll concentrate on races in town with him?
Yeah, I've sort of got a few there at the moment around the 95 grade, and he's just on the borderline now after last night. So I think over the carnival for the next couple of weeks, there's not a lot of those races programmed, so we might give him a few easy days and just look to target those races again after the carnival.
Okay. Now, Vite Monet, he went round in the Chariots qualifier in the Hondo Grattan last week. Unfortunately, things didn't go his way. He looked to be in the perfect position. Will had him in a nice spot, and then the Death Seat horse stopped in his face, which wasn't ideal, and then he got rough on the home turn. Is everything okay with him?
Yeah, he pulled up well, Greg. He's, I think it was just got a bit off balance there when he had to pull out on the point of the bend, and it was probably another step up in grade for him having to race those really good horses. He's never had to sort of do that before, and I think he just got a bit above himself and, just made a mistake there, which was unfortunate because I think he was travelling into it really well before that, but that's racing and we'll, look to go again.
He's only lightly raced. He's only had the 12 starts. He's won 5 of them. He's obviously got loads of ability. Has he had issues anywhere along the line, or have you just been a bit stop-start with him?
Yeah, no, he's had plenty of different issues over his career, I suppose. He's spent plenty of time in the paddock, and he had quite a long break. He had 6 months off after his 2-year-old season, and I sort of spent quite a long time working him back up as an early 3-year-old, and sort of pretty well ended up missing most of his 3-year-old season. In the end, he only had 3 starts as a 3-year-old, and he come back in really good order this time, and everything's been fine, and good with him so far, but just needs a bit of racing under his belt, probably at that top level to mature and sort of go with those good horses.
I noticed that those 2 wins were over the 2300. Is he a better stayer, or it doesn't bother him?
It was just sort of more by the way the races were programmed. Yeah, I sort of threw him in the deep end a little bit that first start just to try and get him a start in the qualifiers for the Chariots, and I thought we had to prove ourselves if we were going to get a go, so I threw him in there as just the way that the programs, they sort of alternate between the mile and 2300. So it was just the way it sort of landed for that fortnight.
Did you guys buy him at the sale, or?
Yeah, I bought him with my sister Tegan and her husband Pete McRae. We bought him he's a pretty cheap purchase, and so far he's repaid us quite well.
Well, he's done a very good job. Baltus Roll is another one that's been or had a win in the stable recently, going well.
Yeah, he's quite a progressive horse. He's done a good job since he's come to the stable, and he's only had a handful of starts and managed to pick up 3 wins. So he's he'll keep moving forward well, and he sort of stepped up into Saturday grade last night and probably found it a little tough the first time, but it was quite a hard race for a Menangle Stakes kind of race as well. So moving forward, we'll probably try and get him into Saturday races a bit, but we just got to have to dip our toe into the water and see how we go.
So how many horses have you got there at Menangle?
It was 8 at the moment.
Yep. Yeah. And do you have room for more, or is 8 a good number for you?
Yeah, I've got a 10-horse barn there.
Yep.
I've never filled it since I've been here, but I'm just sort of trying to, I suppose, increase the quality if we can. It's always a hard thing to do, but it's easier said than done. But if we can, just try and keep a good batch of horses there, it sort of doesn't worry me too much how many there is if they're good enough quality.
So how did you get from the Riverina to Sydney?
So originally I left Junee and went to work for James Rattray for a little while, maybe just under 12 months, and then moved into Menangle to work as a farrier. And I worked with Garrett Newton for 12 months or so, and had 1 or 2 horses of my own then. And eventually I've just sort of, I went out full-time shoeing and had 1 or 2 horses and increased the numbers of horses, I suppose, along the way.
So are you still shoeing?
Yeah, still shoeing, yeah. I've probably cut back a little bit from what I was maybe a couple of years ago, but I'm still doing plenty, and it's a good mix.
Wow, so you're pretty busy then. There's not much if you're looking after 8 horses and you're doing all your shoeing. There's not much spare time.
Yeah, no, they're pretty big days, but you got to do that to do well in the sport, I think, Greg. So it's just what we've got to do.
Yeah, for sure. You got to work hard. There's no doubt about that. And before you stepped into the horse racing industry, obviously you've been brought up in it. What were you doing before you actually started into horses?
I was working at the Commonwealth Bank for quite a while, for 5 or 6 years, and I didn't mind it at first, but I think I was always destined to get into the horses and give that away, and I don't miss it one little bit.
Yeah, and the shoeing, was that something that you had? Did you have a background in that at all when you went to Garrett, or was that something that he taught you, had to teach you from the start?
No, I've done a little bit, not a great deal, but I've done a bit. I used to do a bit of shoeing just around the Riverina when I lived there, and then sort of done a little bit while at James's as well, and then when I moved into Menangle, I thought it was a good opportunity to learn a bit more and learn some good ways of doing things. So it was a good learning curve to work with Garrett, and I learnt plenty off him.
Okay, and being from down Junee, is there any relation between you and Cam? I know Cam's related to a few of the guys down there. Like, is there any relation, or are you just mates?
Yeah, no, we're cousins.
Cousins?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, our mums are sisters, so we've grown up together and been best mates our whole lives, really. And we've worked plenty of horses together in Junee and now up here. It's good.
So obviously, as soon as Chris nominates one, Cam's the first driver nominated to drive it. Yeah.
Yeah. Generally, that's the way it works, Greg. Yeah.
And you had some time as a driver, yeah?
Yeah, I've done a bit of driving when I first started. I think when you're a kid, it's only natural. It looks like the way you want to be. Everyone wants to be the drivers, but when I moved to Menangle, it probably set me down another path. I went into the training option, and when you got guys like Cam and Will and Jack Callaghan and those guys driving them all the time, you better be silly not to put the best on. Yeah,
but still no interest in race driving at all anymore?
Nah, not really, Greg. I've still got my licence, but it's very rare appearance when I do have a drive.
Sure. Well, mate, really good to catch up with you. Good to find out a little bit more about you as well. You're having a great start to 2025. Got some very nice horses around you, which is always good as well. And obviously working hard, results come. So wishing you all the best of luck and congratulations on the win last night.
Thanks, Greg.
Winner, winner, chicken dinner.
Winning. Hey, that's pretty good.
Winner!
That was legitness.
To that I say, all right. Wow, winning.
Bam! Just like that. That's all there is to it, Dustin. That's all there is to it. A winner. Just like that.
And the winner is...
Well, it is the last week of summer effectively, so the tipping comp for summer ends after this week between Mr. T and I. He leads the series 2-1, so if I can hang on to my lead, it'll be 2-all. I'm positive $3. He's minus 56.60. So I just need to stay on my feet and I should hang on. His two, both at Bathurst on Wednesday. Race 4, number 10, Smooth Buzz for Stephen Jet Turnbull. Looks a really suitable race, but there won't be much value on offer in this one. Last win was back on January 29 when Will Rickson drove the horse. Looks really hard to beat. So that's race 4, number 10, Smooth Buzz. And race 6, number 5, Sweet Nate for John O'Shea. Hasn't raced since September when he broke through for his maiden win, but the time was really good on that occasion. Won a trial recently by more than 25 metres, and Mr. T suggests that it should be winning first up from a spell. So that's race 6, number 5, Sweet Nate. My two, they both at Menangle on Tuesday. Race 6, number 10, Bella Danza. Tipped this one a couple of weeks ago, and she put herself out of play when she galloped. She did everything right last time out, but was beaten in a pretty strong race. If she can shoot across to the lead and get a soft quarter, she's going to take some beating. So that's race 6, number 10, Bella Danza. And race 7, number 6, Carboneer. Now, I saw this one win at Goulburn 2 starts ago. Pretty green, but does have a motor. And I think when he learns what he's doing out there, he might be a really nice racehorse. Didn't mind his effort last time out. That experience at Menangle would have done him the world of good as well. Race 7, number 6, Carboneer, both on Tuesday. Fantasy harness racing. In week 4, you needed to have the Queensland boys who were competing in the Ultimate Driving Championships in your team. You needed one of them, ideally Angus Garrard, as your captain. That would have really set you up for what would have been a great week. Laurie's Legends, won week 3, 617 points. I think Burnborough was 612 in second, dashing away, got third, 611. Rough week for me, 477. I finished 237th for the week, and I'm outside the top 100. Manning 90 is on top. I'm pretty sure they won it last year. Huge effort to be placed so well after a few weeks in fantasy harness racing. That just about wraps up the podcast for another week. Just a reminder, no Sunday session next weekend. The Menangle Angle will still come out this week, previewing all of the action of Chariots of Fire Night and, of course, the Miracle Mile qualifiers. I'll be back with a full wrap-up of the Miracle Mile meeting at Menangle in a fortnight. Huge thank you to the guests this week, Grant Dixon, Amanda Turnbull, Chris Judd. Chris and Amanda, both first-timers on the podcast, so big thank you to them. Looking forward to a couple of big weeks of harness racing. I'll be watching from the other side of the world. Go those Raiders. Catch you in a fortnight, but it's bye for now.